Hey everyone, welcome to TRA TV, Learning with the TRA team. My name is Kurt Lieberman. I'm the owner of Tar River Arms, and welcome. What we're going to talk about today is cleaning your AR. We've got a lot of questions, and we've had a lot of new buyers here of the recent days. And the questions have been, how do I maintain it? How do I clean it? And so that's what I'm going to talk about today. We're going to make this very easy. I'm going to make this very interactive. Hopefully you'll ask questions after the fact. Obviously this isn't live, but we want your questions so we can answer them after the fact. So this is the AR-15. It's a Savage MSR-15. It is actually for sale. This is a new gun, so I'm going to be breaking down a new gun, so it's not going to be very dirty, but what I'm trying to do is just show you the basics here. So first, the thing you want to do is make sure that it is unloaded. God forbid, it's a horrible thing to do, is to have a gun misfire in your home. Anyway, alright, so there's a couple tools that you will need for this cleaning. First ones, we'll go over that, is you'll need a nylon brush. A lot of kits will come with a nylon brush that looks like this. I use a toothbrush, been using a toothbrush for years, works just fine. That's good for just the general scrubbing of the outside and the inside of the lower. There are areas, though, that will get very fouled up, whether it's copper fouling or brass casing color, also gunpowder that cooks onto the inside of the gun, and you'll need a brass brush. Brass is very important to this because brass is softer than the metal that we're scrubbing, so it won't hurt your gun, but it will take off the things that we want to take off. The other thing that you'll need is a rag, obviously, so once you scrub on and scrub on your oil, which we'll talk about in a second, you need a rag. This could be anything. A rag that doesn't leave on lint or dust is a good thing. Yeah, I use t-shirts. I've been using t-shirts for years. They soak up the oil very well after you're done cleaning, and they clean extremely well, and you can cut them into tiny little pieces, and they're readily available because you just take the one that you're about to throw away anyway. Any t-shirt will do. The next thing you'll need is some kind of oil to clean with. There are so many options. Today I'm going to be using frog lube. This is a non-toxic. You can spray it into your mouth and it won't hurt you. The funny thing is it tastes like Lifesaver Spearmint, but it is non-toxic. It won't hurt the environment. It won't hurt yourself. And there's also hops number 9, gun lubricating oil. There are so many oils. Oil act as not only the cleaner but a preservative. These guns are metal, so they will rust very quickly. And so part of your cleaning process is not only to get it clean, but is also to preserve it and protect it from rusting in your safe or wherever it's sitting. And then the next thing you need is a cleaning rod. Obviously everything on the outside and a big part of the inside you can get with a toothbrush, but inside the barrel you can't. You need something to go inside the barrel. This is a cleaning rod. It breaks down into pieces for storage, but also to shorten it depending on the gun that you're using. It has a T-handle on it, and on the end of it has a brass brush. Here we go with the brass again, right? What this is size by caliber. So these brushes, they're like $2 or $3 a piece. They're really inexpensive, but you're going to need it for this cleaning process. This one is the 223 556 version of it, but it comes in, if you have a 9mm, you buy a 9mm brass brush. If you have a 45, you buy a 45. If you have a 308, right, you get the point. The other part of that, the last part before we get into the cleaning, is this eye hook. This eye hook is used on that same T-handle cleaner rod, and you put a little piece of cloth inside that loop right there, and that is what, after you get in there and you scrub it, that stuff, just like you're wiping it down on the t-shirt, that gets inside and wipes all the gunk off. Now let's get going, shall we? Alright, so the first thing you need to do is there's 2 pins. There's one right here and one right here. Those 2 pins are how you break down the AR. It's as simple as that. This first pin right here is what we call your takedown pin. And the reason they call that a takedown pin is because now you can actually do a quick takedown on it if you wanted to be in the field, right? And this other pin is called the pivot pin. Pivot. So now you're going to push that one through as well. New guns, they'll be very stiff, and sometimes you may need something to push it through. I've used everything from a Bic pen just to get it started to a punch to whatever, but they loosen up after you use them. So this is the lower here. You do not really need to spend a whole tremendous amount of time on that. Basically you're going to want to wipe out the inside here. This is where your magazine well, and then this is where your trigger group is. you're really just going to get a Q-tip in there. Don't spray oil inside of there. There's not a whole lot of need for it. It'll just end up collecting dirt. Oil is your best friend and your worst enemy. Oil lubricates the gun and preserves the gun, as I mentioned, but also if you leave too much oil on the gun, your idea is you want to wipe it all off. Strange, right? Spray it on and wipe it all off, but you do want to get rid of as much of it as you possibly can, because what that oil will do will collect all the dirt in the environment. The dirt either from the gun being used, the gunpowder, the dirt from the outside, if there's dust or whatever, it collects that and it will gunk up your gun. Even worse, what it could do is freeze up your gun. Sometimes, and it's happened to me before, you get a lot of oil in there and you go shoot at the range, you shoot 500 rounds, you put it in the safe, and then if you left a little bit too much oil on there, it actually, that gunpowder, the residue of the gunpowder and the oil works together to work like a concrete once it dries, and you can't get that bolt to move. It's not, you may need to get a gunsmith to get it done, but it can be taken care of, but it just becomes hard and it gets cooked and it gets real hard to clean off. Alright, that said, so the just, use a spray oil. You're going to want to spray it down pretty good here. Hopefully this camera can see that. You're going to scrub it in there. You're going to get a good scrub on it, and you want to put it pretty liberally, because if you don't put enough, you're going to find yourself trying to to scrub and get the oil coverage all over the gun. The problem is if you don't use enough oil, it'll get really patchy, so you'll have some places that look really good because it's got oil, and other places it's just dry and you have a patchy looking gun, right? I love a gun that looks beaten up and looks like it's been through the ringer and been used, but I don't like a patchy gun. So you clean that side, you do the same thing over here, you scrub it, you spray it down and you wipe it down. You can take a rag and you can run it through the magazine well. You can get in here with a Q-tip. You're pretty much done. The only part in here, maybe every now and then, you want to take the buffer spring out. There's a little pin in there. You push it down, the whole buffer and buffer spring comes out. Use a rag. Don't put oil in there again. That is not a place you want oil, because it'll collect dirt and make it grundy and gritty. Okay, so that's the lower. Now we're going to move on to the upper. Let's make sure we get this out of your way. So this is your upper receiver, your rail, and your barrel, and inside here is your bolt carrier group, BCG they call it. And this is your charging handle, and this is your upper. What I'm going to do is move this to the side. We're going to get to that. To take your bolt apart is really, really simple. All right, this is your bolt. This is where the magic happens. This is the part where it actually seats your bullet and pulls your bullet out and extracts it. There's a little pin right here. It would be on the left-hand side, or depending on how you're looking at it. Sometimes you need just to get a little pin there or something, pull it out. There you go. Once you get the pin out, what's going to happen is the firing pin is going to pop out. There it goes. There's your firing pin. That'll be a little bit dirty, but not too bad. And then you're going to turn this little guy right here. You're going to turn it to the side, kind of long way, and then that pulls out, and then your bolt face comes out. Now that's completely apart. Next thing you're going to want to do is scrub this sucker. So you're going to spray this sucker down, and then you're going to get in there and scrub it good. Lots of oil. Get it nice and oiled up. Get it clean. Get inside there. Get inside here, right? Get in there, clean it good, scrub it down. You're going to scrub the bolt face down here. Going to get a good scrub. This area right here tends to get pretty gunked up with a brass color, copper fouling, gunpowder, brass brush. That's where you get in there and you scrub that out. It'll get that stuff right on off of there. So once you get that clean, you're going to scrub this part as well. The charging handle, you're going to want to scrub the charging handle, getting it all oiled down really, really well with your frog lube or whatever oil you're choosing to use. And then once you're done there, your next process is just to wipe that down. Again, wipe that down really well. Get it nice and dry. All you're trying to do is clean it and oil it. That oil will soak into that metal and keep it from rusting. Rust is your enemy in these guns, and they will rust really quickly. So once you get that wiped down, you put it back together. One thing to pay attention to when you're putting it back together, this is where most people have issues, is there's a little push pin right here, and it's part of the extraction process. Is what that pin does is when the bullet seats in there, it's pushed in. When the bolt comes back out, that little pin is what makes the shell pop out. That little pin, maybe you can see it right there. I'll use the firing pin, hopefully you can see that. That little pin, when you're putting that back in, needs to be at 4 o'clock. And you'll see what I mean. There's a little hole right there. You see how that lines up right there? You could be at 10 o'clock or you can be at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock is where you want to be. Otherwise, it will not work. And then this little pin right here, push that in. I'm working with 2 cameras here. And then you turn that back to sideways. And we'll go really easier. The great thing about these is the more you use the gun, the easier it becomes. And you put your pin back in, your firing pin back in. And then this tends to be, for me, the trickiest part. It's the little cotter pin to get it all back together. Sometimes you just got to feed that in. So I'll pull it out, and then sometimes you just got to find that groove. There we go. Perfect. Now the bolt's back together. Let's talk about the lower real quick here. The lower. You got your receiver here. Hopefully you can see that. What you want to do is, the first thing is you're going to scrub the outside. You're going to scrub the rail, use lots of oil. I'm using very little here just because I'm trying to get through this and just kind of show you the general basics. Again, this is where the patchiness happens. If you try to scrub it with a little bit of oil and you don't use enough oil, it will get patchy on you. Basically, you'll have dry metal with oiled metal and it'll look crazy. Beat my gun up, shoot my gun up, scratch my gun up, make it look at worn, torn, and battle worn. Oh, I just did a rhyme. But don't make it look patchy. So you scrub both sides there, great. Scrub both sides, make sure you wipe it down, get all that oil off there, because why? The oil attracts dirt. And then you're going to do the same thing on the inside. You're going to spray in there, get your nylon brush, you're going to scrub all up in there. There's a little gas tube in there, maybe you can see that. That will get a lot of cooked on gunpowder, and that will get dirty really quick. So you're going to want to get in there and use that brass brush maybe if you need be. Get in there, scrub that out. Once you get in there, so one of the things that, just a little trick of the trade here is trying to get in there sometimes can be hard. Use the back of your brush and just get in there, and you can actually use the brush itself on the rag to get that stuff out of there, get that oil out of there. Right? Again, you want to get the oil out. You want to get it spread in there really, really liberally. You want to liberally. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Anyway, you want to get a lot of that oil in there. You want to get enough in there, coat it well, and scrub it well, but you also want to wipe it well. Again, this is where that lockup happens I talked about. If you leave a lot of oil in there and you shoot the gun, it'll shoot just fine. That gunpowder is going to cook into there and bake into there with that oil, and then when you let it sit, it just dries like cement. So it's really, really bad. So that is basically, I've sprayed the whole gun down. I wiped the gun down. For the sake of this video, we're clean. So all the oil should be out of there. Now you got to get inside the barrel, right? So what I like to do, again, here's that little brass brush and my cleaning rod. I will take a little bit of oil, whatever oil. You can use the frog lube, you can hops, whatever. Put a couple of drops on the brush itself. And then I go in through here. And then hopefully you can see this on one of the cameras. And then you just push, right? There you go. And then you just pull. Push, pull. You're going to go back and forth several times. Alright, and then once you feel like you got it clean, the next step is now take off that brush, put on that eye hook I was talking about. Alright, and then you get you a little bit of that cloth, or a lot of those kits will come with these little squares. You can buy these little squares for your gun. They make them again like the brush, caliber size squares. And then once you get that on there, that brush is to get it all broken up and scrubbed. This is just to get all that junk out of there. That's all. Just to make sure that bore in that barrel is clean. See how dirty it is? That's a new gun too, right? So now that that's done, we're basically clean at this point. So now we get to put this sucker back together. While I'm putting it back together, I'll just talk to you. So cleaning it is extremely important. Some people will clean it every time they shoot. I do. I think it's a Marine thing. I just can't stand a dirty gun. But I would encourage you to not go too many times without cleaning your gun. Cleaning your gun will maintain your gun. And if you clean your gun and you maintain your gun, this thing will last for 100 years. I mean, I have guns in here that are like 1800s. So these guns will last forever, but you got to take care of them. And the thing to do is to scrub it down and clean it with oil. Oil is your friend to make sure it doesn't rust. So again, now we're putting it back together here. All right, so I'm going to do the pivot pin, which is this front pin, right? Remember I was talking about that? Pivot. Takedown pin is this back pin. And that is it. That gun is clean. Thank you for your time today. We really appreciate it. I hope this answered a lot of questions about maintaining your gun. If it didn't, please feel free to send us an email to sales@traguns.com. Or you can post on Facebook, which if you want to look for us on Facebook, it's Tar River Arms WF all together. Just search Tar River Arms WF. You'll see our logo when you pop that up. And then you could also come by our store at 992 Durham Road in Wake Forest, North Carolina. So I really appreciate your time today. We look forward to hearing from you. If you have any other things that you want us to do, maybe I'll do a video about the BCG and breaking that down a little bit more detail because I just kind of flew through it. I think that might be a good one as well because it's an important part of your gun. But we hope you're staying safe, and we hope you are finding things to do with our lockdown and not going too stir crazy. We really appreciate it. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.